to the business world is what you must understand, right? So
Yes, good morning, students, and welcome to the class of SAP. Good morning, Nagaraj sir, and a warm welcome to you, sir.
thank you so very much, madam. Good morning.
Yes, sir. You may please start the session, sir.
Okay. So a very warm welcome and a very good morning to all the attendees. I see only a very small number of students who have logged in as of now. So usually, let's start and let's wait for the other students to join. But in the meantime, if you have any questions for people who have attended yesterday, of course, I'm going to recap the whole session and in detail. See why I'm having such a detailed recap as far as the initial sessions are also concerned. It is these initial topics which should actually get into your head. The other things, they just follow. Once you're strong with the basics and the what exactly the product can deliver, the other things are easy for you to fill in. It's the fill in the blanks. But the basic thing is, have you understood the very nature of the product? What can it deliver? How? Probably that is going to take some time. How you deliver the SAP product on the system, that's a later part of the story. Let us not worry about it. But are you aware of the product itself? What does a product contain? And how is it delivering to the business world is what you must understand, right? So most welcome to ask me questions till the another we'll wait for 2 or 3 more minutes and then we can start the session. Just 2 or 3 more minutes and then we will start. All right. Another 1 more minute and then we will start. Okay. So this was the summary of what we did yesterday. Understanding the concept of general ledger and identify how the general ledger master records post. We have still not seen the posting of the general ledger transaction, that is creating the transactions in the SAP system. Posting, I think probably now you're comfortable with that term. Posting is nothing but saving of the transactions. In SAP, the process is called as posting. So in our part of learning what is a general ledger account and what exactly it is, what are the other concepts we learned? Yesterday, we had a very interesting topic regards the document types. So what are the document types? Basically, why are they required? Basically, they are required to classify what kind of a transaction we are generating or we are saving or we are carrying out in the SAP system. right? So we have, can you see this? SA, AA, AF, DR, DZ. So if you remember the day before yesterday's class, we understood what this ADKMS was. What were they? They were referred to as the account types in SA, where you could control what is the nature of posting that the business can have control upon. Understood the meaning of this line? Okay, I'll come back to this point. Let me make a note of it even before I forget. What do I need to do? Controlling the. So what do I achieve by the document types or the account types? Control the or be aware of what is the nature of transaction. Am I posting or am I creating a sales invoice? Am I creating a customer receipt? Am I creating a purchase invoice? Am I creating a vendor payment? Am I creating a goods receipt? So all these things, they are identified through something called as your document types. Now, yesterday, just to expand this principle or just have a broader discussion about this topic, we saw something called as your posting periods. Did we see it somewhere? Yes, definitely we have seen. It was an extension of your fiscal year. We see the posting period variable. So I said, can you see the line below? Control the periods. Not only the posting period not only has the control over in which month am I carrying out these postings, but I can also restrict the nature. What kind of a posting or what kind of a transaction I can or I may not. Along with the transaction time and also the periods or months of the transaction. So the posting period variant controls the nature of transactions as well as to which time period I am actually saving this transaction. What could be the typical scenario in which I control the transactions? Can I enter only assets? Can I enter only material related transactions? Can I enter only customer related transactions? Can I enter only vendor related transactions? So you have that ADKMS, right? Those are the account types. Now, posting period. Now, let me assume a scenario. Please tell me if you're getting a little disturbed by the concept or you're not able to clearly understand the concept. I'll help you out. Now, let me assume that I'm following the Indian calendar. Okay. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, December. So I have broken the entire financial year or the fiscal year into 4 different quarters. So typically, when you are talking about the PSUs, I have the live experience of working in a PSU or rather understanding the accounting of a PSU. And I was also involved in one of the SAP implementations for one of the PSUs. A huge job, right? Okay. So it is following the financial year between April and March. Now I have broken open this particular year into quarters. Now I have finished with the first quarter, right? April to June is over. So quarter 1 is over. Done. I have closed my books of accounts for April, May, and June, first quarter. I am in the first period of the second quarter, quarter number 2. Now, if I receive a transaction pertaining to the previous quarter, will the system allow me to enter the transaction in the previous quarter? Absolutely no. It simply refuses. It says it has closed the period. It has closed that particular month for transaction. So in my scenario, what have I done? I have closed 3 months. The first quarter is closed. I've already submitted my books of accounts to my corporate office. So I cannot accommodate any entries pertaining to the previous quarter. Of course, there could be variations. Just hold on. OK. Now, what could be the variations? Suppose the corporate office asks you to accommodate this particular transaction pertaining to April or May or June in the month of July, or even in the month of August. There is a concept of reopening that period only under the special circumstances. So this is a very, very serious thing, and periods cannot be simply opened and closed. No, because the control won't be with the ordinary end users. It will be with the super users, and any period, please make a note that I am considering a month to be a period. Now, for any of the transactional months to be opened or closed, you need to obtain special permissions from your top level management. Only and only then the relevant person, not everybody. The relevant super user or the power user who's given the authorization to make this particular change or allow this particular transactions to happen, only he or she can do this activity. Clear? So another added information, right? So yesterday I had not told you about how the controls are happening and why SAP has provided certain things. But now I hope things are getting clearer and you're able to appreciate how things can be done. See, all these things are typical business requirements. All these things are typical to any of the business organizations. So the consultant or the person who is knowledgeable, he should be having a thorough grip of SAP. He needs to know what needs to be done where to achieve the business results. Now, I think probably you got an elaborated version of what is a posting period vary and probably a little more information. Clear? This is achieved through your. Now, even in the quarterly closure scenario, suppose I'm assuming that I have reached August. I'm in the second day of August 2025. Right? So okay, let me not, should I tell you this now? Okay, perfect. So I will just keep this for a later point in time. So all you need to know is how the system is handling the business scenarios. Don't you feel it's a wonderful thing what SAP has offered us? Now, coming back to your fiscal year variant. What does the fiscal year variant define? It defines the financial year of your business. So here we have standard system defined fiscal year variance identified by K4, which indicates the January to December financial year, and V3, which defines the typical Indian business financial year, that is April to March. So you have the concept of 12 months, 12 regular months of posting or entering the transactions. And concept of special posting periods. Now, what is a special periods? This is used only at the time of the books closure, only in the event of closing the books of accounts. It is only then that you make use of the special periods. Clear? And the special periods, to add one more point to it, in the special periods, only the authorized entries can be entered. That is, the entries as advised by your auditor who's looking into your books of accounts. Some of the transactions could be advised by your corporate office or your head office. Some of the other transactions could be addressed by the governmental agencies like your commercial tax department or your sales tax department, whatever. Some of the entries could be related to your income tax authorities. So only the authorized people can advise these entries, which can be accommodated, or rather which are accommodated after the closure of the regular periods or the regular months, and only during the books closure. Only when you close the books of accounts, you make use of the 4 special posting periods. It need not necessarily, you need not have to make use of all the 4, but the maximum number of special posting periods allowed by SAP is 4. Clear? Just mentally make note of this, or if you're jotting down some points, most welcome. Okay. Now, what else did we do? Shortened fiscal year, another very interesting concept of having not, or rather, let me put it in a very simple way, having less than 12 business months in a year. In a financial year, normally you have 12 normal months of transactions, but your business may not run for the whole of the 12 months. It could be seasonal. Okay, so in this case, what would you do? You would have a concept called as your shortened fiscal year, where you would operate your business only for a short period of time, or maybe say only for a couple of months, maybe say 8 to 10 months, or even 6 to 7 months, or whatever, depending on what your business is all about. And also, yesterday there was a wonderful scenario given by a student. Suppose the business starts in the mid of the financial year. Please mark my words, I am opening the business not exactly on the 1st of April every year. And I open my business only once in the business lifetime, correct? I don't open it every year. So once I'm opening the business, say I'm following the Indian calendar, April to March, and my business I am thinking of opening maybe say on September 15th, 2025. So in the current year, April 1st of 2025 to 31st of March 2026, am I operating for all the 12 months? Not at all. So in that case, in my initial or in my business start, I may be having less than 12 months. So in that case also, you have a concept called as shortened fiscal year. So basically, less than 12 months is a shortened fiscal year. That is all. That's all how we conclude. Anything else which we wanted to discuss? So we had somewhere we saw a small reference to the posting keys and so many numbers. 40, 50, 70, 75, 01, 31, 01, 21, whatever, right? You saw a list of numbers. What are these numbers? Now, SAP cannot understand the English debit or the English credit. But your financial transactions are only debit and credit. So how will What is the methodology through which SAP understands this particular debit or a credit? It is through a means of something called as your posting keys. So it is through the concept of posting keys that SAP is understanding whether you're debiting a particular general ledger account or crediting a specific general ledger account. Do you have to remember, see, I gave you quite a few document types, and now we are talking about posting keys. One question what may crop up is, do I have to remember all this? Why SAP is troubling me with all this? Absolutely, your life is made very simple when I make a statement that you need not remember the document types or the posting keys. SAP is automatically picking up the document types on its own. And as far as the posting keys are concerned, maybe you may have to remember just one or two or maximum say 4 or 5 of the posting keys out of the n number of posting keys what SAP has delivered as a standard. And in the live project environment, the 99 out of the 100 times you will not be having a requirement to create a new document type. By creation, I'm meaning the job of a consultant. Okay, not that of an end user. All right. So the consultant may never encounter a scenario where he or she would want to create a new document type or a entirely different posting key, because every business transaction is very well taken care of by SAP. So did we miss out on anything? Anything to be revised? Just a moment. I'll look at the Q&A.
So in the published section, you can see the questions published.
Okay, man. Okay. For rectifying the entries made during those periods. Okay. What are cutover activities? Okay. So let me take question by question. What is a cutover activity? Good. The student has asked me the very preliminary question, what happened in the maybe say the first or the second session, but wonderful, very good. So that it could be a revision for the others also, probably who would have likely missed out on this. Cut over activities. Now, whenever an organization wants to move into SAP, what do I mean by move into SAP? It was earlier using a different system, not SAP. All right. Now it is moving on from one system to SAP, from a different system to SAP. This earlier system in SAP terminology is called as the legacy systems. Just hold on. I think I have already spoken about this. Can you see this legacy systems? So what is legacy system? It is a non-SAP system, which the organization was using earlier, before SAP. Now, SAP is going to take over the earlier system. So what is this cutover activities? Now say I am introducing SAP in the mid-year. So my the implementing partner wants to go live on SAP or wants to start using SAP, say by the 30th of September. So till the 30th of September, from April 1st of 2025 to the 29th or the 30th of September 2025, there were transactions in the earlier system also. So for me to balance both the systems, so if I take the financial statements. It could be your trial balance, it could be a profit and loss account, it could be your balance sheet. Correct? So whenever I draw these financial statements by the 29th of September or even on the 30th of September, both the systems should give me the same numbers. So only then you can start your activities from the 30th of September on SAP. Don't you agree? So all the data should move from the non-SAP system to the SAP system. From the 1st of April to the 29th or the 30th of September. This movement of the non-SAP data to SAP is called as cut over activities. Okay. Now, what was the other question? For rectifying entries made during, see, basically rectification. Let me tell you what happens in live SAP projects. You simply cannot rectify entries. You can only reverse the entries. There is no concept of rectification. There is a concept of reversal only. And another interesting point. The rectification or the reversal cannot be done on your own. Suppose I am a clerk in the AR department. I have done there is some error while entering the data and I have saved the transaction in SAP. So now, once when I realize that I have done a mistake, I should obtain the necessary permission to reverse this particular transaction from my supervisor. Then and only then I can reverse this transaction. This is your specific audit trail. Somebody was asking me the audit trail. I'll remember this question. I'll come back to you when I take up document types again. We have already done the document types and the document numbers theoretically. When you see that practically, you will see the importance of the statement, whatever I'm making. You cannot reverse or rectify an entry once SAP has saved the transaction. Even before saving the transactions, yes, you can carry out any changes, but not after you have saved the transaction. You will have to obtain, after saving the transaction, you will have to obtain the authorization or the permission from your supervisors to rectify. Clear? I hope I have answered that question. Finance can't use the special variant. See, basically, now the finance consultant can obviously use because he knows the usage. He can obviously use while closing the books of accounts. But my question is, once SAP gets implemented on the 30th of September, will the same team be available to close the books of accounts as of 31st of March 2026? I have implemented SAP in some organization, XYZ Limited. I'm an IBM employee. I have implemented SAP in Measures XYZ Limited. My last day in the project will be 30th of September 2025. I will not be associated with Measures XYZ after 30th of September 2025. So, but during my course of working, as per the requirements of my implementing partner, I would have trained the requisite departmental heads to carry out the closure functions. How to make use of a special posting period, we would have trained. We consultants who have already worked on the project, we would train the team from the implementing company or from the implementing partner. We would handpick few managers or say some responsible people and would train them to carry out this particular closure activities on 31st of March 2026. Was I clear? Elaborate on a special posting period in an organization with taxation regime. Okay. All right. Mhm. Just hold on with this question. Just hold on. Okay. I think this person is exposed to SAP. What is an year shift? So for people who are not in a position to understand this, it is still okay. But for answering this question, for answering the question as to what is an year shift, let me go back to the topic of fiscal year. And people, please tell me if you have, if your questions are satisfactorily answered also. Okay. What is an year shift? I'm not expecting all of you would understand this. Please let me make that very clear, because this person seems to understand SAP or seems to have worked on the SAP system. That is what I conclude. What is an year shift? Now, I broke open the, so suppose I want to now what happens to the Jan to March financial Jan to March quarter? Isn't the year transforming itself to 2026? No doubt it has to be included in the 2025-2026 accounts. But these 3 months, they have shifted. They have shifted from 2025 to 2026. This is your year shift. Have I answered the question? Right? But I'm in the same financial year. That you must be very clear. I am in the same financial year. What is my financial year? April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2026. My financial year has not changed. But the last 3 months, there would be a shift in the year. From 1st of January 2026, for the 3 months, there is going to be an year shift. This concept is called as year shift. That is. Did you understand? What is account determination? Account determination is nothing but the integration or how the finance module talks to the other modules is through a concept called as your account determination. Clear? Let me do this in a detailed way once we take up the relevant topics. Okay. Going ahead, I will not be taking up some of the questions because the moment is not right. See, all these questions are coming up because you are already aware of SAP. But people here may not be aware of SAP. And if I start answering the questions, people may get confused. Right? I have already brought in this term account determination, right? Account determination, just for the time being, please understand that it is the way the finance module in SAP talks to the other modules. So yesterday we spoke about the finance and the CO module, cost elements. You remember? That is one of the perfect examples for your account determination. I hope you remember what we discussed yesterday. Well, let me not elaborate on this because it may confuse. So then those trained consultants has authority to correct anything in the books of accounts. No. The trained consultants will not be, they have better jobs, boss. See, the trained consultants will not be sticking on to only one project. See, once I implement SAP, I move out of the project. All right. So I will not, just because I'm a trained consultant, I will not be given permission to change the books of accounts. Please don't conclude that nothing. No. Once I move out of the projects, all my SAP credentials will go. I'll be away from the project on the last day of my implementation. Okay, I will not be having access to the SAP systems after the last day. So I just gave you a small example where my implementing partner wants to start working on SAP from the 30th of September. So maybe after 1 week, maybe say 7th of October or something, I will not be given access to the implementing partner's SAP system at all. I will totally be an outsider. Till and only till I'm implementing, I'm working for my implementing partner, my access to the SAP system will remain. Else, nothing doing. I will not be given access. Clear? I hope I have answered that question. I think I have answered all the questions. Yeah, so please let me know if your questions are already answered, so that I will understand if can't get your point about year shift. How to move non-SAP to SAP? It's a process. Okay, there are various tools used to move the data from non-SAP to SAP. Okay, it's not the right moment, but there are tools where you move the data. This is exactly what your cutover activities does. Yeah, this process is carried out in the cutover process, and the consultants, the individual consultants, are responsible for moving their data. So this is the answer for your movement of non-SAP data to SAP. It's a process. It's a process. OK. We use a lot of tools to move the data. All right. Can't get your point about the year shift. OK. Now, what is year shift? It means after, absolutely, after the project tenure, there'll be no access. Perfect. Yes. Somebody answered, understood, sir. Thank you. But for which question? I'm not able to understand. Is it for the year shift or non-SAP to SAP? OK, let me repeat what is the year shift. Here, my financial year is 2025 to 2026, April 1st, 2025 to 31st of March, 2026. You want me to write the dates also? I'll write. This is going to be my financial year. Now, what have I done? I have broken this entire financial year into 4 blocks, 4 quarters, meaning I'm assuming that I'm closing the books of accounts every quarter. So that is why I have broken open this particular. OK, even if I'm not broken this. So April to December, you are still in the same year, 2025. All right. But from January 1st, 2025 becomes 2026. So that is your year has advanced from 2025 to 2026. This is your year shift. Movement from, OK, let me put the English. Movement from 2025 to 2026 is your year shift. Movement from the 2025 to 2026 is called as a year shift. I hope I'm clear. How this is being achieved, that's a different story. That how we do it in SAP comes later, but this is your year shift. No. After you finish this course, you will not become consultants, because there is a huge process for you to become consultants. But definitely you will be more comfortable using the SAP system and also understanding the few concepts. All right. If I bring in all my consultant experience, whatever I have gained through the 15 plus years or even 18 years of my consulting career in SAP, it will be too very overwhelming. Okay, so let me tell you that you will not be consultants after this course, because there is a specific process which you need to follow. All right, for you to become consultants. Okay, you need to clear some examinations. You need to work lots and lots in the SAP system even before you can even think of becoming a consultant. You need to burn your hands working on SAP. Clear? So only then you will be a seasoned. You will be a seasoned consultant. All right. So the aim of this course, definitely, let me make it clear once again. It is not for you to become consultants. It is to make you feel comfortable with the concepts in SAP, and also as qualified CMAs, your expectation when you step into SAP, not as a consultant, but when you get an opportunity to work on the SAP system, you need to be comfortable enough to understand how the system is working. And this is just a foundation for that. Guys, if you want to become consultants, the efforts what you're putting in to become a CMA, maybe the same amount of efforts needs to be put in for you to become an SAP consultant. You should be ready for the grind. All right. Please share your experience working in a PSU. Okay. See, the designations, it could be any fancy name here. You could become a business. See, I was a business consultant in one project and I was a junior consultant in another project. So it all depends on how you want to be addressed or how the company wants to address you. That's it. All right. So there is no fixed designation where even if you're a CA or a CMA or whatever. Okay. Guys, let's take this question when we finish off with the course. Okay, we'll take this up in a generic way. All right. Okay. So as far as the subject is concerned, right? So let us stick to the subject. So now I'm happy that students have understood what is a year shift and so many other concepts. Now, let us get back to the learning mode. So I think this is where we stopped yesterday. All right. Please read this document for people who have already have the access to the study content. Please make the best use of your time to read this. So we will come back to the other topics. I think we stopped here. Let me see what is there, and then let us come back to this particular. Okay, let me go back to the accounts payable. So the other submodule in the finance module is your vendors, accounts payables. What is accounts payables major job? It is to ensure that the process of purchasing is happening smoothly. Why am I saying the purchase activity should be carried out smoothly? See, in one of the projects, the money, the payment did not reach the vendor on time. You know what he did? He simply stopped supplying the key items required for the business, required for the production. So the entire business stopped. So that's exactly the criticality of this AP submodule, accounts payable submodule, where we are responsible for taking care of the vendors. Basically, vendors who supply critical items to our business. For example, the raw materials. So once the raw material supply is stopped because we have not paid to the vendor, don't you think we cannot function at all? The whole plant and machinery will come to stop. The whole production activity will come to a standstill. I cannot do my business at all. If I cannot produce, what can I sell? Yeah, so that is why managing your vendors becomes a very, very critical task. All right. Now, what does it deal with? Deals with vendors. Perfect. Deals with payments also. Why is this considered to be very, very critical? Now, you must establish as an SAP consultant, you should ensure that your payment process is watertight, in the sense your system, your SAP system should not be careless about making payments. You should design the SAP. Poor SAP is not careless. It is the way the SAP system is set up that should be taken care of. Because once the payment reaches, you can't do anything about it. Once the wrong payment reaches the vendor, you cannot do anything about it. Of course, adjustments can happen. OK, but you need to identify that there is no slippages as far as the way the system is set up and the way the system is taking care of something called as duplicate payments, or maybe say erroneous payments. It's a very, very critical process. OK, and this is called, especially the payment process is called as automatic payment program in SAP. It's a wonderful, what should I say? It's a wonderful thing offered by SAP, where you're automating the process of payments to hundreds and hundreds of vendors. Clear? Now, what does this particular submodule deal with? First and the foremost, when you are dealing with huge vendors or important vendors like people or vendors who are supplying key raw materials to your business, you will have to create the master records. Let me make a note of it. There are some other concepts, basic concepts, which I will take up at the appropriate moment. OK, just hold on till then. Accounts payable deals with vendors. Okay, payments. Now, first and the foremost, how does the system understand with which vendor my business is dealing with? So the system should be in a position to identify the vendor. I'm talking about the major vendors. OK, people who are supplying items to me, critical items to my business. So the first and the foremost thing is the master data. So who's the vendor? What is the name? Where is he located? Who is the contact person? Okay, his email ID, his contact number, all these things, and his bank information. And I just wanted to talk about something very interesting. So you design the master data for the vendors, but for small vendors, you need not create the master data and you can save the server space. This master data is relevant only for your major vendors and customers. Okay? Suppose you have a tea vendor. Every day he supplies tea to your employees. So you pay him on a everyday basis, or maybe say even on a weekly basis. Every day you could spend around 5,000 or 500 rupees to 1,000 rupees for your coffee or tea. Okay, so like this, the petty transactions can happen through something called as a petty cash, and the concept of petty cash is also available in SAP. All right, very interesting. I don't know if I can take that on, but if you ask me if there is a concept of petty cash being handled in SAP, yes, it is being handled. Okay, Janvi ma'am, can we take a brief break for 10 minutes?
Yes, sir, sure. So it's 12:02 now. We'll resume. We'll take a short break and we'll resume by 12:12.
Sure, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes. Students, take a short break and be back quickly. Sir? Nagraj sir?
Yes, ma'am, I'm there.
Yes, sir. We can resume